Over to you, Neeraj sir. We are live now.
Thank you so much, Amit. So, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, our friends from across the nation. Myself, Neeraj Arora, I would like to welcome you all on this another wonderful webinar from ASSOCHAM GEM Green Building Council. Friends, this webinar is being jointly organized by ASSOCHAM GEM Green Building Council UP State Chapter and Association of Warehouse Developers UP. So, this is the joint effort of two organizations. And our today's topic is environment-friendly warehouse and logistics parks, past, present, and future. Friends, this is a series of webinar we are doing. Our last webinar was on, housing, and today is our topic is warehousing and logistic parks. So for the discussion, we have eminent speakers from both the organizations, from developer side, from architect side, from consultant side. So starting with we have Dr. I.S. Yadav ji. He is IAS retired and founder director Association of Warehouse Developers. He is director Prerna Logistics. So welcome Dr. I.S. Yadav ji. We have Mr. Arvind Nanda ji, CEO and founder director Interarc Buildings. Welcome sir. We have Mr. Amit Mittal ji, founder director Association of Warehouse Developers and director Om Kiran Logistic Parks. Welcome Mr. Mittal.
Thank you.
We have Mr. Pankaj Dharkar ji, who is chairman of ASSOCHAM GEM Green Building Council and is president Pankaj Dharkar Associates. We have architect Gaurav Varmani ji, chairman of ASSOCHAM GEM Committee on Green Warehouse and Logistic Parks and founder Studio Line Design. Welcome Gaurav ji. And we have architect Anupam Mittal ji, chairman GEM UP State Chapter and principal architect Arinem Consultancy Services. We have with us architect, welcome sir. We have architect Anurag Vajpayee ji, co-chairman ASSOCHAM GEM UP chapter and director Green Tree Global. So I would like to welcome you all eminent speakers to this ASSOCHAM GEM platform, and would request architect Anupam Mittal ji to please deliver the welcome address. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, very good afternoon, and I welcome Dr. I.S. Yadav, Mr. Amit Mittal, Mr. Arvind Nanda, Pankaj Dharkar sir, Gaurav Varmani ji, architect Anurag Vajpayee, Neeraj Arora ji, and all the participants of this webinar on environment-friendly warehouse and logistic parks, past, present, and future. So we are basically covering the long trend of warehousing since the past. We are looking for something which is coming in the future. So there may be a question in everybody's mind that warehouse and sustainable. Yeah, why not? There is a volume. Whenever you talk about sustainable space, it's a volume. There are different kind of storages and energy needs. There are people, human being, working there. And we as ASSOCHAM GEM professionals see every opportunity, every space as an opportunity to mark it sustainable for many reasons, such as the long life of that particular place, space, for energy saving is always a necessity, for health of people who are working there. This is a very important aspect, and whenever we talk about places, we talk about the health of the people who work there and the subsequent happiness of all. So I always treat this like any place or sustainability with the health and happiness of the people. It works. I'm pretty sure about it. So most of the warehouses and logistic parks are associated with some industries, industrial products, and acts as a bridge between manufacturers and the distribution, which correct me if I'm wrong, it is basically a part which works as a bridge between the manufacturers and the distribution, that may be in the form of shed or an RCC building. But the role of an architect or a GEM professional or a trained expert is always there to prepare a design and specify materials to make it a green rated building to help creating a sustainable environment for everybody, all the users, everybody associated with the particular space. You talk about the warehouses. So when we talk about the past was a very, if we go for the past existing structures, we used to see a very traditional sheds, and which has now come in a different way with the puff panels, with the reflective surfaces, maybe RCC buildings with different materials, energy conserving products, which are maybe the claddings or the roof surfaces. But there is always an opportunity to create an environment by using all those things and having a sustainable product. So logistic parks in the future, with the help of technologies, design, and choice of materials, these are three very different aspects, and I'm sure the expert panel will put little more light on these things. The design aspect is a very crucial aspect. The choice of materials, starting from the surface, paneling, roof, everything, whatever is in contact of anything, and the technology, which is the future. So materials were always there, but materials got changed. Design was always a part of everyone, and the technology which is changing every day. Even if you talk about the present scenario of COVID and all these present pandemic, we must have changed our lifestyle, but still the design aspect, the material aspect, and the technology will always play a major role. So instead of me taking a lot of time in this particular discussion, I like to listen to the experts from the field and the people from the like warehousing, all the committee and all your owners, which are the integral part of the association. And I like them to share the experience in this panel discussion. So thanks from my side, and over to Mr. Neeraj Arora. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for your wonderful welcome message. Now, I would request Pankaj Dharkar ji. As I mentioned, Pankaj Dharkar ji is National Chairman of ASSOCHAM GEM Green Building Council and is President Pankaj Dharkar and Associates. Mr. Dharkar is a renowned MEP and green building consultant, an ASHRAE and IGBC fellow, provides innovative and sustainable solutions in the field of building engineering services. And during his rich experience of 40 years, he has successfully designed and completed more than 4,000 projects of various applications. And he's a member of several technical societies like ASHRAE, ISHRAE, FSCI, USGBC, GSES, IPA, and many. He is also a presidential member of ISHRAE headquarters, ASHRAE, FSCI headquarters, and immediate past international president of FSCI, and is the currently national chair of FSCI Suraksha Index. So, Dharkar Saab, we would like to, hear from you a very exciting and energetic message. Over to you, sir. You have the presenter right, sir, if you wish to hear your presentation.
You can see my screen?
Not yet, sir. Yes, visible, sir.
Yeah, okay.
Make it full screen. Yeah, that's it.
So good afternoon, everyone, and what a great noon for all the team of ASSOCHAM GEM when we are together with Association of Warehousing Developers from UP. I think my personal compliments to entire ASSOCHAM GEM UP team for ensuring that we are working with you, sir. And I welcome IS Yadav ji, Amit Mittal ji, Arvind Nanda ji, and also our own Anupam Mittal ji, Gaurav Virmani ji, Anurag Bajpai ji, Neeraj ji, Sandeep Narang ji, and all of my GEM team members. Friend, this is a very important day for us when we are taking our association further. And just to update you that ASSOCHAM is made out of 400 chambers with 4.5 lakhs plus members and serving nation from 1920. And ASSOCHAM has taken a green initiative to take care of Mother Earth to complement India's sustainability movement and form this green and eco-friendly movement we call CGEM. And our GEM sustainability program, the warehousing has been the new addition. I'll ask, of course, request Gaurav Virmani ji to talk more about it. But our all programs are based on ECBC 2017 and ECBC 2017 and National Building Code of 2016. To us, these are two wonderful documents within which Indian architects and engineers have created. And our codes are talking about sustainability, daylight, energy efficiency, indoor air quality, fresh air, green areas, and also talk about fire and life safety as important component. Our program also, and is one of the only program in the world which talks about United Nations SDG 2030 rating goals. And I think it's one of the most comprehensive and also transparent and easy system which is developed by us. We do believe that any sustainable, any certified building will definitely give us payback of less than 3 to 4 years. And we all know that these buildings are made for many more years. In case of warehousing, could be 25 years plus. And therefore, this is always a good idea to go for sustainable solutions for our warehousing. Friends, our mission has reached several states already. You can see here, we have close to 2,000 professionals in GEM certification program who are helping us. We are currently approved by the Rajasthan government and also CRISIL. You can see here, one of the certified agency here you will find is GEM. The GEM program starts from GEM 1 to GEM 5, GEM being the lowest, GEM 1 being the lowest, and GEM 5 being the highest at a yard scale of 0 to 135. We have currently several certified projects, which includes the pharmaceutical project like Abbott, electrical and electronics giant like Siemens, hospitality chain hotels of Hilton and ITCs, and several industrial project, IT project, and universities across the country. Some beautiful pictures here. One of the recent development had been the Leela Hotel at Gandhinagar also. But you can see the airports, various institutes, and in UP under the leadership of Anupamji, we are doing fantastic work. Of course, warehousing has been a new initiative under leadership of Mr. Gaurav Virmaniji, and you can see here we have started our journey with TCIL Haryana warehousing, Pune warehousing freight systems, Welspun, Hiranandani, TCIL Orissa, and VMart. These are all just started because this certification program for warehousing has been such recently developed. I'm also through this forum requesting our team, and I'm sure Neerajji is going to take it very seriously, that we also want to develop a parallelly program for cold chain and refrigeration, which is going to be an important milestone, and going to work with warehousing, because that is some area which our country is going to see huge development, along with the way e-commerce is taking shape and complementing warehousing. Our certified project gets beautiful plan, which the directors and owners like to put them into the prime spaces. Friends, I'm very glad that with fantastic team around during this pandemic, we did deliver more than 95 webinars with 88,000 people registering, more than 77,000 attending, with 9 new chapters formed, 14 professional organizations with whom we did MOUs. I'm very glad to put on record that 75 MOUs with various universities, and many of them are from UP under the leadership of Mr. Mittalji and Anuragji, and team is doing fantastic work. And our goal is to reach tomorrow's engineers and architects to create a sustainability as way of their life. So with that mission, we intend to sign MOUs with 100 plus universities. We have already done our distinction pass this last week with 5 universities. Looking forward for that 100 mark and reaching thousands of architects and engineers. So this is an important mission we are doing. So friends, let's please create a green and environment sustainable country. And I think warehousing is going to play a very, very vital role in coming years. And thank you very much to entire team of Association of Warehousing Developers from UP who have joined this movement with us today. Thank you so much.
for this very energetic message. Thank you so much. And now I would request Architect Anurag Vajpayee ji. Architect Anurag Vajpayee ji is the co-chairman of ASSOCHAM GEM Green Building Council UP chapter and is the director of Green Tree Global. Mr. Vajpayee is the co-founder and director and head sustainability division at Green Tree Global. And Anurag ji has an extensive experience of 15 years with core expertise on energy efficiency implementation. His work assignments include working with Bureau of Energy Efficiency, NTPC, BEL, CPWD, USAID, UNDP, PWD, NBCC, Railways and Metro, etc. He is a certified verification professional by AEE, a certified Griha Evaluator, IGBC, AP, GEM certified professional, and he also serves a board member of International Building Performance and Association, and is a member of ASSOCHAM GEM Green Building Council, Griha, FHI. He is previously worked with Siemens Power and USAID Eco3 projects. So Anurag ji, हम आपसे सुनना चाहते हैं कि GEM Green Building certification program में what are all key features for warehousing especially. So over to you Anurag ji.
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद नीरज जी, और धन्यवाद करता हूं अनुपम मित्तल जी को और पंकज धारकर सर को भी फॉर सेटिंग अप द स्टेज. I have a very brief presentation. Neeraj ji, if you could allow me to share.
Yes, you have the presenter right, sir.
My screen is visible?
Yes, it is appearing here. I think it will take some time.
Hello.
It is
Not
not
right
yet appear. आप अपना वीडियो ऑफ कर दीजिए, थोड़ा सा हो जाएगा. अनुराग जी.
अभी सर विजिबल है?
नहीं, अभी नहीं है सर. Okay, it is there now.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay, sir. So thank you so much. I'm really feeling very privileged कि आप सब लोगों के साथ में जो हमारे पैनलिस्ट में लोग बैठे हुए हैं, they are occupier, developers, and certainly they are the policy makers. In terms of warehousing and logistic hubs, जो हम बात करते हैं ASSOCHAM GEM Sustainable Warehouse Logistic Hubs, अगर हम इसकी बात करें, जैसे अनुपम सर ने बोला कि हमारा पास्ट, प्रेजेंट और फ्यूचर की बात कर रहे हैं हम, इसका पहले भी हमारे यहाँ पे लॉजिस्टिक पार्क और वेयर हाउस होते थे, बट वो डिस्ट्रीब्यूटेड होते थे. अब हम बात कर रहे हैं नेक्स्ट रिजीम ऑफ टैक्सेशन, जहाँ पे हम लोग जीएसटी की बात करें, जिसमें कि एक नया तरीके का लीनियर फॉर्मेट सिंप्लीफाइड सिस्टम शुरू हुआ, और इस तरीके से जो स्टेट में हम डिस्ट्रीब्यूटेड वेयर हाउसिंग की बात करते थे, अब कंसोलिडेशन की तरफ आगे बढ़ गए. ये एक पहला पॉइंट है जब हम लोगों ने ये देखा कि हम लोग कंसोलिडेटेड वेयर हाउसिंग की बात कर रहे हैं और स्टॉकिंग लेवल्स बढ़ गए. इसका मतलब है कि हम लोग लार्ज साइज ऑफ वेयर हाउस की बात करने लगे. दूसरा स्टेज तब आया जब हम लोग बात कर रहे हैं फार्म लॉज के नोटिफाई होने की. सर्टनली तब हम कोल्ड स्टोरेज, जैसे सर ने बताया, वी आर ऑल्सो कमिंग अप विद द कोल्ड स्टोरेज और इस तरह के जो रेटिंग सिस्टम्स के बारे में. कोल्ड स्टोरेज छोटे से लेकर के बड़े तक हर एक स्टेट में, हर एक फार्म लैंड्स के आसपास की जो बात की जा रही है, वो अपने आप में एक बहुत बड़ी अपॉर्चुनिटी है हमारे वेयर हाउस और लॉजिस्टिक पार्क सिस्टम के लिए. थर्ड मॉडल जो हम लोगों ने देखा कि थर्ड पार्टी लॉजिस्टिक्स, ये अपने आप में एक बड़ा बिजनेस मॉडल की तरह निकल के आया. देयर आर लॉट ऑफ होम ग्रोन कंपनीज एंड इंटरनेशनल फर्म्स व्हिच आर वर्किंग इन दिस डोमेन एज ऑफ नाउ. ई कॉमर्स, जो कि फोर्थ पॉइंट है मेरा, इसका अपने आप में एक स्टेबल बिजनेस सिनेरियो पेश करता है, जहाँ पे पहले बिजनेसेस में छोटे स्केल की रिक्वायरमेंट होती थी. ई कॉमर्स आने के बाद में एक तरीके के लॉजिस्टिक पार्क्स की रिक्वायरमेंट एक बहुतायत होने लगी. इतनी सारी अपॉर्चुनिटीज बढ़ रही हैं, तो इसका मतलब ग्रोथ भी हो रहा है. ग्रोथ हो रहा है. अगर हम लोग एक नंबर्स की बात करें जो कि गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से आया लास्ट ईयर, जिसमें कि 2019 में $1500 बिलियन की अपॉर्चुनिटी थी वेयर हाउस या लॉजिस्टिक पार्क्स की, वेयर हाउस मार्केट 2024 में, मतलब 5 साल के अंतराल में ही हम डबल होने की बात कर रहे हैं। मतलब $1500 बिलियन से हम 3000 या 2800-2900 बिलियन डॉलर की बात कर रहे हैं। इतनी अगर अपॉर्चुनिटी है, इसका मतलब है कि गवर्नमेंट के लेवल पे भी बहुत सारे जो पॉलिसीज हैं दे विल आल्सो बी फ्रेम्ड। गवर्नमेंट की पॉलिसी की बात करें तो वेयर हाउसिंग पॉलिसी इंडिया में बहुत सारी स्टेट्स में आनी शुरू हुई। कुछ स्टेट्स जैसे यूपी हो गया, हरियाणा है, एमपी है, महाराष्ट्र, छत्तीसगढ़, गुजरात, ये सब स्टेट्स ने एक अलग वेयर हाउस पॉलिसी का निर्धारण किया, नोटिफाई कराया। कुछ स्टेट्स ऐसे भी हैं जहां पे उनकी इंडस्ट्रियल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर डेवलपमेंट पॉलिसीज जो पहले एक अलग तरीके का डिपार्टमेंट चल रहा था, उस डिपार्टमेंट में ही उन्होंने इंक्लूड करके किया। एग्जाम्पल, स्टेट लाइक केरला, they have a very specific department जो कि इंडस्ट्रियल इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर फंड बोर्ड, इन सब के बारे में भी बात करते हैं। तो देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ फोकस फ्रॉम द गवर्नमेंट साइड, जो कि हम लोग इस तरीके के रेटिंग इंटीग्रेशन की बात करते हैं। अब लॉजिस्टिक पॉलिसीज के क्षेत्र में जब हम एसोचैम यूपी चैप्टर जो इस प्रोग्राम को बना रहा है, इसको हम निर्धारण कर रहा है, सर्टेनली हम लोग यूपी के रैंकिंग के बारे में जरूर बात करना चाहेंगे कि रैंकिंग लॉजिस्टिक पॉलिसीज जो है वो यूपी, हरियाणा सबसे पहले नंबर पे है, और उत्तर प्रदेश जो है वो बहुत पीछे नहीं है, हरियाणा के तुरंत बाद ही है। तो जैसे ऑक्यूपायर और डेवलपर्स के बेनिफिट के बारे में ये रैंकिंग दी गई है गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से, उसमें पार्ट है ये। स्टेट के बाद में अगर हम लोग सिटी लेवल पे बात करें, क्योंकि जो डेवलपमेंट्स हैं वेयर हाउस या लॉजिस्टिक पार्क्स के, वो कहीं ना कहीं पॉपुलेशन रिक्वायरमेंट या उनकी रिक्वायरमेंट्स के बारे में है। इसमें एक एग्जांपल है, जैसे कि हम लोग एक फर्स्ट ईयर सिटी जैसे दिल्ली एनसीआर बात रहे हैं, और दूसरा हमारा लखनऊ जो कि सेकंड ईयर से बात कर रहे हैं। फर्स्ट ईयर सिटी में दिल्ली के एनसीआर की अगर हम लोग पॉपुलेशन की बात करें, जो कि लगभग के आसपास है, इसको बोला जाता है, का एरिया लगभग 1500 स्क्वायर किलोमीटर के आसपास। देखिए किस हिसाब से हरियाणा की जो बॉर्डर जो कि दिल्ली को छूता हुआ है, उसमें सबसे ज्यादा वेयर हाउस या लॉजिस्टिक पार्क का निर्माण हुआ है। इसके अलावा अगर हम लोग दूसरे क्षेत्र या नोएडा, या जो कि यूपी का बॉर्डर दिल्ली से टच करता है, जिसमें कि गाजियाबाद, नोएडा, ग्रेटर नोएडा, यमुना एक्सप्रेसवे, इन सब एरिया से बात करें तो इस तरह से उसमें भी कुछ कुछ बढ़ोतरी हो रही है। रिसेंटली वी हैव हर्ड कि सैमसंग अपना यूनिट चाइना से ग्रेटर नोएडा शिफ्ट कर रहा है। इस तरह के बहुत सारे नए नए डेवलपमेंट इसमें हो रहे हैं। हरियाणा के बाद में पंजाब सर्टेनली उससे दिल्ली का टच है। इस तरह कहने का मतलब है कि किस हिसाब से एक फर्स्ट ईयर सिटीज के आसपास का जो एरिया है वो लॉजिस्टिक पार्क्स, वेयर हाउसिंग की तरह डेवलपमेंट हो रहा है। इसी तरीके के फुटप्रिंट को फॉलो सर्टेनली सेकेंड टीयर सिटीज या थर्ड टीयर सिटीज भी इन टाइम्स टू कम करेंगी। लखनऊ का एग्जांपल लेते हैं। लखनऊ का जो पॉपुलेशन है वो लगभग 35 लाख के आसपास है। फ्लोटिंग पॉपुलेशन जो कि वेस्टर्न ईस्टर्न यूपी की तरफ से माइग्रेशन बहुत ज्यादा है, वेस्टर्न यूपी की तरफ से थोड़ा सा कम है। 35 लाख पॉपुलेशन के साथ साथ 15 फ्लोटिंग पॉपुलेशन है का एरिया अगर हम लखनऊ सिटी की बात करें तो लगभग 130 स्क्वायर किलोमीटर के आसपास है। इसमें देयर आर एजेंसीज और गवर्नमेंट एजेंसी जैसे लखनऊ इंडस्ट्रियल डेवलपमेंट एजेंसी, जो कि लखनऊ से कानपुर या इस तरह के और भी कुछ कुछ पैचेस में एक इंडस्ट्रियल कॉरिडोर डेवलपमेंट की बात कर रहे हैं। बहुत सारे लैंड एलोकेशन की बात हो रही है। और अगर हम लोग इतना सब कुछ डेवलपमेंट की बात कर रहे हैं तो ऐसा ना हो कि हम लोग सस्टेनेबिलिटी इंटीग्रेट करने में कहीं पीछे हो जाएं, और डेवलपमेंट हो जाने के बाद में रेट्रोफिटिंग का जो स्कोप है वो सर्टेनली बहुत महंगा होता है। जिम रेटिंग सिस्टम एक अपने आप में एक अलग तरीके का फ्रेमवर्क है, जिसमें कि हम लोग बात करते हैं कि इस हिसाब से कन्वेंशनल डिजाइन को कौन कौन से सस्टेनेबिलिटी फीचर्स हम लोग उसमें इंटीग्रेट करें ताकि एक सस्टेनेबल एनवायरनमेंट डेवलप हो, नॉट ओनली फॉर द बिजनेस बट ऑल्सो फॉर द पीपल हु आर वर्किंग देयर। इस तरह के बहुत सारे एग्जाम्पल्स हैं। फॉर एग्जाम्पल वी हैव वर्कड अ लॉट इन बांग्लादेश। वहाँ पे रेडीमेड गारमेंट सेक्टर की बहुत सारी फैक्ट्रीज अपने आप में एक मेजर रेवेन्यू जनरेटर की तरह हैं। वी हैव सीन इन लास्ट 1 डिकेड कि कहीं ना कहीं जो रिक्वायरमेंट फ्रॉम द क्लाइंट साइड इट हैज ग्रोन सो मच कि जो ओनर्स डेवलपर्स हैं या जो रिप्रेजेंटेटिव बॉडीज हैं जैसे बांग्लादेश नेटवेयर मैन्युफैक्चरिंग, BKME, BGME एंड ऑल दीज मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सोसाइटीज या रिप्रेजेंटेशंस ने ये रियलाइज किया कि सस्टेनेबिलिटी को इंटीग्रेट किए बिना उनके एक्सपोर्ट को बढ़ाना बहुत मुश्किल काम है। यही सब चीज़ें इंडिया में भी इस तरह की चीज़ें भी आ रही हैं और इसलिए शायद रेटिंग सिस्टम्स ने भी अपना एक अलग तरीके का रेटिंग सिस्टम एस्टैब्लिश किया, which is primarily talking about warehousing and logistic hubs. इसमें बताया गया है जैसे कि आप अपने कन्वेंशनल डिजाइन में नेचुरल लैंडस्केप और ट्री प्लांटेशन उसको ऐड करें, एनर्जी एफिशिएंसी की बात करें, वाटर एफिशिएंसी की बात करें, रीजनल एंड रिसाइकल्ड मटेरियल्स की बात करें, नेचुरल सनलाइट या फ्रेश एयर कैसे हम इंडोर इन्वायरमेंट में ला सकते हैं उसकी बात करते हैं। ट्रेनिंग कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग अपने आप में एक बहुत बड़ा क्षेत्र है। हम कितना ही अच्छी सुविधाएं बना लें, फैसिलिटीज डेवलप कर लें, लेकिन अगर उसको यूसेज के हिसाब से लोगों को उनको अवेयर नहीं किया गया तो शायद उसका मेंटेनेंस या उसको सही तरीके से रख रखाव नहीं हो सकता। और कुछ इनोवेटिव पॉइंट्स, ये सब पॉइंट्स मिल करके देखा जाए तो एक सर्टिफिकेशन के टीयर्स बनाते हैं जो कि एक जेम के लेवल्स क्रिएट करते हैं। जेम 1 से लेकर के जेम 4 जेम 5 तक की रेटिंग सिस्टम्स में प्रोविजन है। 40 से लेकर के 105 प्लस पॉइंट तक अगर हम किसी रेटिंग्स के इन सस्टेनेबिलिटी फीचर्स को अपने डिजाइन में इंटीग्रेट करते हैं तो इस तरह के नंबर ऑफ एक्यूमुलेशन के बेसिस पे हम लोग जेम 1 जेम 2 जेम 3 एंड जेम 5 इस तरह के रेटिंग्स को अचीव करते हैं। क्या क्या सिंपल तरीका है, जैसे अगर कंसल्टेंट पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से अगर मैं आपको प्रोसेस एक्सप्लेन करूं तो जो भी कोई ओनर अगर हम लोग डेवलपर डेवलप करना चाह रहा है तो सबसे पहले हम प्रोजेक्ट को जेम सर्टिफिकेशन से हम लोग रजिस्टर करते हैं। उसके बाद जो प्रोजेक्ट की डिज़ाइन है, जो आइटम्स हैं, उसको किस हिसाब से हम लोग अचीव करें ताकि हम क्या डिज़ाइन में चेंजेस लाने हैं या हमें डे लाइट में कहीं बढ़ोतरी करनी है, एनर्जी एफिशिएंसी के हिसाब से हमें फैन की कैपेसिटी करनी है, एफिशिएंसी बढ़ानी है, ये सब चीज़ें हम लोग करके एक फिजिबिलिटी बनाते हैं जिसके थ्रू डिसीजन मेकिंग बहुत आसान होती है। उसके बाद डे लाइट सिमुलेशन के थ्रू डिज़ाइन प्रोसेस शुरू होती है कि कितना हमारा विंडो का साइज होगा, कितना हम ऊपर से सनलाइट ले सकते हैं जो कि डिफ्यूज सनलाइट होगी, एनर्जी एफिशिएंसी कैसे अचीव कर सकते हैं। तो वन फीचर विच धारकर सर हैज आल्सो मेंशन्ड कि यही एक रेटिंग सिस्टम है जिसमें कि हम फायर प्रिवेंशन एंड क्योर की भी बात करते हैं। इट्स वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट जो कि शायद हम लोग आज के टाइम में बहुत सारी चीज़ें सुन रहे हैं हॉस्पिटल्स के बारे में क्योंकि दे आर बीइंग यूज्ड ओवर एंड अबव देयर कैपेसिटी नाउ। तो इस तरीके से फायर सेफ्टी मेजर्स को इंटीग्रेट किया गया है और इन सब चीज़ों को करने के बाद में डॉक्यूमेंटेशन बना करके जेम प्री सर्टिफिकेशन का स्टेज जो कि डिज़ाइन स्टेज तक आपको ये पता चल जाता है कि आपका प्रोजेक्ट जेम 4 है, जेम 5 है, जेम 3 है और इस हिसाब से थ्रू आउट द कंस्ट्रक्शन यू कैन ट्रैक दोज मेजर्स जो कि आपने कमिट की हैं डिज़ाइन स्टेज में। और फिर लास्ट में जब बिल्डिंग या वेयर हाउस बन करके खड़ा हो जाता है उसके ठीक पहले हमें फाइनल सर्टिफिकेशन के लिए अप्लाई करना है। तो फिर वो फाइनली बेस्ड ऑन द ऑडिट एंड विजिट वो फाइनल 5 जेम या 4 जेम के हिसाब से वो अवार्ड हो जाता है। ये इसकी स्पेसिफिक प्रोसेस है। कुछ एक जो जेम के जो प्रिंसिपल्स हैं वो कैसे हैं, जैसे फॉर एग्जाम्पल बहुत सिंपल है, आप सब लोग इस चीज़ को अपने कार्य क्षेत्र में देखते भी होंगे, जैसे जो उसका डिज़ाइन है वो अप्रूव्ड है कि नहीं है। फॉर एग्जाम्पल जो कंस्ट्रक्शन मैनेजमेंट बेस्ट प्रैक्टिसेस हैं वो क्या है। फॉर एग्जाम्पल अगर कहीं पे कंस्ट्रक्शन हो रहा है तो पॉल्यूशन प्रिवेंशन के हिसाब से उसकी बैरिकेड होना चाहिए, अगर सैंड या सॉइल निकाली गई है तो उसको कवर होना चाहिए, उसको मल्च होना चाहिए और भी इस तरह के बहुत सारे चीज़ें हैं जो कि साइट को कंस्ट्रक्शन मैनेजमेंट पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से लोग करते ही हैं। फायर एंड सेफ्टी पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से जो प्रोविजंस हैं वो इसमें फॉलो करने हैं, सर्टेनली पैसिव डिज़ाइन पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से लेकर के और एक्टिव एक डिज़ाइन के जो कंपोनेंट हैं उसका पार्ट है। पार्किंग फॉर बिल्डिंग इक्विपमेंट ये इसका बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट है। यूएस के अगर हम लोग लॉजिस्टिक पार्क्स देखते हैं तो वहाँ पे तो बताया था कि जितनी पार्किंग रिक्वायरमेंट उससे ज़्यादा होना चाहिए, लेकिन यहाँ के कंडीशंस के हिसाब से ये बताया जाता है जितनी बाय लॉ में रिक्वायरमेंट है उससे कम हो तो बेहतर है। सर्टेनली कार पूलिंग सॉरी ज़्यादा हो तो बेहतर, सर्टेनली कार पूलिंग और इस तरह के जो मेजर्स हैं उसको बढ़ोतरी दी गई है इसमें। ट्रीज का बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट है। जनरली हम लोग बात करते हैं इस तरह के वेयर हाउसिंग या लॉजिस्टिक पार्क्स में, तो जनरली हम लोग ग्रीनरी या ट्री प्रोटेक्शन इन सब चीज़ों को शायद ज़्यादा महत्व नहीं देते हैं। ये एक इम्पॉर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट है क्योंकि जो लोग वहाँ पे दिन रात काम कर रहे हैं, दे रियली नीड टू बी इन टच विद द नेचर। ये बहुत ज़रूरी है, कहीं ना कहीं वो नेचर के क्लोज होने से उनकी मन स्थिति पे बहुत पॉजिटिव इम्पैक्ट पड़ता है, और ये इम्पॉर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट है इस पूरे रेटिंग सिस्टम का। नो स्मोकिंग फैसिलिटी जोन, अब देखिए बहुत स्मॉल एस्पेक्ट है, और मुझे लगता है कि हर जगह, हर एक फैक्ट्री, वेयर हाउस, लॉजिस्टिक पार्क, सब में ये फॉलो करते होंगे। एमिनिटीज, फंडामेंटल नीड्स एंड डेली कम्यूट के जो रिक्वायरमेंट्स हैं वो इसका एक पार्ट है, और इसके बेसिस पे इसमें पॉइंट्स का निर्धारण किया गया है। इफेक्टिव एंड एफिशिएंट मैनेजमेंट ऑफ ट्रैफिक, ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट है, क्योंकि जैसे जैसे हमारे वेयर हाउस का या लॉजिस्टिक पार्क का साइज बढ़ रहा है, उसके हिसाब से अगर वो कम्यूट लेट्स से कस्टमर्स के लिए भी ओपन है, उस तरह केसेस में जो एक्सटर्नल ट्रैफिक है बियॉन्ड द प्रेमाइज, जो सिचुएशन है जिसको हम लोग शायद अर्बन प्लानिंग से कभी कभी लिंक करते हैं, उस पार्ट को ध्यान देना बहुत जरूरी है। क्योंकि अगर आपका लॉजिस्टिक पार्क एक जगह पे बना हुआ है और वहां पे ट्रैफिक सिचुएशन है, तो सर्टेनली जो मूवमेंट ऑफ द गुड्स है वो इफेक्ट होगी, और एफिशिएंसी जो है वो इनएफिशिएंसी में कन्वर्ट हो जाएगी। ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट है, और देर आर a lot of people who do it very efficiently। बहुत इंपॉर्टेंटली इस चीज को ध्यान देने की बात है। एफिशिएंट लोडिंग एंड अनलोडिंग बे, ये सर्टेनली एक वन ऑफ द मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट फीचर है, जो कि शायद जो डिजाइनर्स हैं जैसे वर्मानी सर, वी हैव बीन वर्किंग एज विद हिम, और मुझे लगता है कि सब चीज़ें बहुत ही क्लोजली इस चीज़ को लोग ध्यान में रखते हैं और डिज़ाइन करना चाहिए। सर्विलेंस सिस्टम्स, सिक्योरिटी सिस्टम्स का अपने आप में बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट है, और इसमें इसके पॉइंट्स हैं। इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल एंड इलेक्ट्रिक चार्जिंग फैसिलिटीज, ऐसे तो ये एरिया अपने आप में एक नए एरिया की तरह उभर रहा है, बट बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट है। अगर हमारी जो फॉसिल फ्यूल बेस्ड या आईसी इंजन बेस्ड व्हीकल्स कन्वर्ट होंगी या नई व्हीकल्स आएंगी, तो सर्टेनली इस तरह के जो प्रोविजंस हैं वो उस लोकेशन में जहाँ पे वेयर हाउसिंग है या लॉजिस्टिक पार्क है, वहाँ पे ये होने बहुत जरूरी हैं। इसमें जो रेटिंग की रिक्वायरमेंट है वो या तो प्रोविजंस हो या तो ईवीएसपी बेस्ड जो चार्जिंग स्टेशंस हैं वो वहाँ पे होंगे, तो उसके पॉइंट्स का मिलना तय है। लो फ्लो फिक्सचर्स, हालांकि ये अपने आप में एक नई टेक्नोलॉजी है, बट बहुत सारी चीज़ें इसमें की जा रही हैं, और नए नए रेटिंग सिस्टम्स में इस तरह का प्रोविजंस हर जगह बहुत व्यापक भी हो गया है, और लोग इसको फॉलो भी करते हैं। बहुत आसान भी है क्योंकि मार्केट बहुत तेजी से मूव हो गया है। उसके लो फ्लो फिक्सचर्स मतलब अगर हम 6 लीटर पर मिनट फ्लो एट अ पर्टिकुलर पीएसआई की बात करें, तो अपने आप में एक बहुत बड़ी पानी की बचत की बात कर रहे हैं। रेन वाटर हार्वेस्टिंग ये सब लोग करते ही हैं। ग्रे वाटर, स्टीफी वाटर, जिसमें कि हम लोग एमबीबीआर टेक्नोलॉजी या रूट जोन टेक्नोलॉजी, या डिपेंडिंग ऑन द साइज और अवेलेबिलिटी ऑफ द लैंड, उसके बेसिस पे है। सब डिजाइनर्स सब चीज़ों का ध्यान रखते हैं। वाटर कंजप्शन, एनर्जी मैनेजमेंट बेस्ट प्रैक्टिसेस, जिसमें कि हमारे एक्सटर्नल इंटरनल जितने भी हमारे सिस्टम्स हैं, एनर्जी इफिशिएंसी, जैसे लाइटिंग से बचत हो सकती है, एयर वेंटिलेशन से बचत हो सकती है, एयर कंडीशन से बचत हो सकती है। इस तरह के सिस्टम्स में वो बचत करके एफिशिएंसी वाइज और उसको मैनेज करने का प्रोविजंस सेटिंग में किया गया है। इलेक्ट्रिक इक्विपमेंट एंड सिस्टम्स, सर्टेनली वीएफडी इंटीग्रेशन, पंप मोटर एफिशिएंसी स्टैंडर्ड्स, ये सब चीज़ें रेटिंग सिस्टम का पार्ट है। रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी कंपोनेंट, जो कि एक अपने आप में एक वेरी एफिशिएंट आरओआई सिस्टम के हिसाब से आजकल आ गया है। कॉस्ट लो है और लोग इसको बहुत ज़्यादा यूज़ करने लगे हैं। मेजरमेंट ऑफ एनर्जी कंजप्शन, सर्टेनली अपने आप में एक अपॉर्चुनिटी की तरह है। देयर आर टूल्स अवेलेबल जिसके थ्रू आप अपनी फैक्ट्री वेयर हाउस की एनर्जी कंजप्शन चेक कर सकते हैं, उसको ऑप्टिमाइज करने के साधन चेक कर सकते हैं। हेलोजन फ्री सिस्टम्स को यूज़ करना है, चाहे वो फायर फाइटिंग की हो, चाहे इंसुलेशन हो, और एयर कंडीशनिंग हो। सिविल मटेरियल्स की बात आती है तो बहुत सारा मार्केट इसमें ग्रो कर गया है। लो एम्बॉडीड एनर्जी मटेरियल्स भी आ गए हैं, फ्लाई ऐश ब्रिक्स, एसी ब्लॉक्स, ये सब चीज़ें अवेलेबल हैं। लोकली सोर्स मटेरियल की इंपॉर्टेंस बहुत ज़्यादा बढ़ गई है। हाई एल्बिडो या हाई एसआरआई पेंट्स, जहाँ पे बहुत ज़्यादा रूफ अवेलेबल है। सर्टनली हम वेयर हाउसिंग की बात करें तो सिंगल फ्लोर की बात कर रहे हैं ज़्यादातर। अगर हम हाई एसआरआई पेंट या सोलर रिफ्लेक्टिव इंडेक्स वाले पेंट्स को हम लोग अगर अप्लाई करें तो बहुत सारी एनर्जी सेविंग अपॉर्चुनिटी हो सकती है। और सर्टनली कंफर्ट कंडीशंस जो कि शायद हम लोग एडिशनल इक्विपमेंट यूज करके करें, वो शायद इससे आसानी से अचीव हो सकती है। 4 to 5 डिग्री सेल्सियस का डिफरेंस आ जाता है अगर हम लोग हाई एसआरआई पेंट्स ओवर द रूफ टॉप यूज कर रहे हैं। तो पोस्ट ऑक्यूपेंसी वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट ये अपने आप में एक अपॉर्चुनिटी है और करना भी चाहिए इस तरह की चीजें। पैकेजिंग सप्लाई चेन सस्टेनेबिलिटी का एक बहुत अहम हिस्सा है। वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट के लिए नई नई पॉलिसीज बन रही हैं। सर्कुलर इकोनॉमी जैसा मार्केट अपने आप में एक बिग $1 बिलियन अपॉर्चुनिटी की तरह इंडिकेट कर रहा है, और बहुत अच्छा एरिया है ये। सभी ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस को जरूर इसमें ध्यान देना चाहिए। यूनिवर्सली बिल्डिंग डिजाइन को डिसेबल्ड फ्रेंडली डिजाइन के हिसाब से करना बहुत जरूरी है, चाहे वो टॉयलेट्स एरियाज में एडिशनल हैंड बार्स का यूसेज हो, डोर्स का रिक्वायरमेंट हो, ब्रेल की रिक्वायरमेंट हो, वॉइस ओवर की रिक्वायरमेंट हो इन टर्म्स ऑफ लिफ्ट में, या हैंड रेल की बात कर रहे हो। नेचुरल सनलाइट जैसे पिक्चर में भी बहुत सारे आपको वेयर हाउस दिख रहे हैं किस हिसाब से नेचुरल सनलाइट यूज करके अपनी आर्टिफिशियल लाइटिंग की जो रिक्वायरमेंट है उसको अवॉइड करते हैं। इंडोर क्वालिटी की बात कर रहे हैं जहाँ पे हम लोग 62.1 ASHRAE स्टैंडर्ड का यूज करते हैं। सर्टेनली ये सब इक्विपमेंट और उनकी जो रिक्वायरमेंट हैं दे आर बीइंग गवर्न टू मेक द पीपल मोर कंफर्टेबल। ये बहुत जरूरी है जो लोग वहाँ काम करें उनके लिए इंडोर एयर क्वालिटी को सही से रखना, उनके ब्रीदेबल बनाना, उनको कंफर्टेबल देना, ये सब लोगों की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है। बीओसी जो लो बीओसी सिस्टम्स की बात कर रहे हैं जिसमें कि पेंट्स हो गए, एडिसिव्स हो गए, ये सब रिक्वायरमेंट बहुतायत से हो रही है और बहुत लोग इसको यूज भी कर रहे हैं आज के टाइम में बिकॉज ऑफ द कॉस्ट रिडक्शन जो कि बहुत मार्केट के ग्रो होने से आ गई है। और ट्रेनिंग एंड कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग प्रोग्राम जो कि एज आई सेड इन द स्टार्टिंग, कहीं ना कहीं वो एक बहुत अहम हिस्सा होना चाहिए लोगों को बताने का, उनको इन्फॉर्म करने का और उनसे इस चीज को फॉलो करने के लिए कि ये बिल्डिंग या फैक्ट्री, ये वेयर हाउस ग्रीन रेटेड है, उसको मेंटेन सही से करना चाहिए। सोशल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी अपने आप में एक अहम हिस्सा है। कॉर्पोरेट रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी तो चलो गवर्नमेंट ट्रैक करती है, बट सोशल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी जो ओनर्स या वेयर हाउस उस दायरे में नहीं भी आते उनके लिए भी एक इम्पॉर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट है। इस चीज को यूज करके ग्रीन और सस्टेनेबल फ्यूचर को कहीं ना कहीं हमें उसको बढ़ावा देना है। गोइंग द एक्स्ट्रा माइल्स, ये सर्टेनली इनोवेशन और उस तरह के पॉइंट्स हैं जो कि रेटिंग का अहम हिस्सा है और बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है कि हम लोग कोविड के सिनारियो में भी अगर हम लोग इस तरह की चीज़ों को यूज़ करें और जो एनवायरनमेंट है उसको हम लोग हेल्दी बनाएं। और इन्हीं के साथ आई एम डूइंग माय पॉज और ओवर टू यू नीरज जी। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आप सब लोगों का।
Thank you, Anurag ji, for your very patient and technical presentation. Thank you so much. Thank you. And now I would request Architect Gaurav Varmani ji. Architect Gaurav Varmani ji is the chairman of ASSOCHAM Committee on Green Warehousing and Logistics, and is the founder of Studio Line Design. And he's planning and management audits in industrial logistics infrastructural domain. He's a founder of Studio Line Design, established in the year 1998. He conferred and won the Industrial IAD Award 2009, Rajiv Gandhi Excellence Award 2013, and CNBC Best Warehouse Design Global Logistic Excellence Awards in 2019. He has also earned a jury position at various architecture institutions all over India. Apart from being founding member of Sushant School of Architecture Alumni and Vice President of Navy Children's School Alumni Association, he also enjoys the membership of IAA and ASSOCHAM GEM. He has been appointed as an honorary member of ASSOCHAM, National Council on GEM, and is the chairman of GEM Committee on Warehouse. His firm Studio Line Design gains its reputation by going an extra mile in making their projects truly responding to the context and consciously designing them to address the larger goals of sustainable, responsible architecture. Their mission is to help their clients grow faster with their expertise. So, Gaurav ji, I would like to invite you to moderate the panel discussion and to introduce our panelist also. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Neeraj. Thank you, Pankaj sir, for the keynote address, and Mr. Vajpayee for giving us the whole insight about the program. So I will not delve deep there. We will straight away go to the discussions. So as we are all aware that today we have Mr. Dr. Yadav, ex-bureaucrat, and then the founding member of the ASSOCHAM Warehouse Developers. It's a great initiative which has happened in UP, and they are driving it further to educate the whole, to bring the whole warehouse developers together, to educate them together, to keep them in the know, and to impress upon the policy decision making in the state as well as beyond the state, so that the logistics sector comes up in a very big way, because that is it's not a warehouse, it's not a go down, I would say, as people would typically understand it. So warehouses are today 24/7 ecosystems which have so much of dynamics connected with it. It's very difficult to imagine, because typically if we talk of a warehouse, we say that it is going to be a static, closed door, old steel building, go down. But if you go to the today's facilities, be it e-commerce, be it logistics of automobiles, be it logistics into pharma, into cold chain, it's a 24/7 ecosystem which does not stop even for a single second. And there is no full stop. It is working 365 days a year with unbelievable efficiency and unbelievable integration, because the whole country, I would not say the country, the whole globe is connected through this ecosystem. So it is far more intense than what we can do. Only people who are there deep dive and who are actually experiencing this can actually understand how the systems work and how efficient it has to be. So let us hear it from our panelists. So we have Dr. Yadav here with us. We have Mr. Amit Mittal from Omkiran Logistics, and he's also a front office bearer with the Association of Warehouse Developers in UP. And interestingly, we have Mr. Arvind Nanda with us. Thank you, Mr. Nanda, for being here on the panel. So specifically, when we talk about the panel, how we compose it, so we had a very special inclination, because when we talk of sustainability in the warehouse segment, which we took up last year, and we formulated the guidelines, because all the guidelines which we were following were actually not connecting with the warehouse environment, the whole ecosystem. So we requested Dr. Dharkar to allow us, and he gave his consent, because a typical residential building or an institutional or commercial building is very different from a logistics and a warehouse environment. So we took up this challenge, and the whole rating program was designed around the actual needs, developer faces, the real user faces. And so when we talked of buildings, then as a warehouse, as a building system, so how could we leave out steel? Because steel is the 60% in the building environment. 60% is steel which is being used, and PV manufacturers today have a big role to play in the whole system. So Mr. Nanda should be able to guide us with his vast experience of 25, I would say 30 years there. He's a pioneer of where the whole ecosystem of pre-engineered building started in India, and Interarc has been the front runner with multiple plants with 1,000 crores of turnover today, and growing much rapidly, because the amount of consumption in the system that we are already experiencing, and the multifold increase which is going to come in this category cannot be supported without steel. Thank you, Mr. Nanda, for being here. So we would like your team to present a short presentation also as to how steel can be integrated further. But I'll go straight away to Dr. Yadav. And the first question for a discussion is, Dr. Saab, what do you feel is we really feel that sustainable solutions in warehouse environment, there is hardly any human occupancy. So is it that relevant? What kind of internal policies do you have in your company as Prerna Logistics and your own setup, which actually move towards creating a sustainable environment? Over to you, Doctor.
Thank you, Mr. Vermani. I'm very happy to join the eminent panelist of this discussion. There's a wonderful initiative by the ASSOCHAM GEM organization to have initiated such a discussion. Making a sustainable, environment-friendly system is not the responsibility of one single organization. It is responsibility of every individual citizen of this country to contribute his bit for making this development environment friendly. These efforts have to come from all levels. It has to come from planners, policymakers, the design team, the architect team, the developer, and the user. If we all work wholeheartedly, we can definitely achieve this environment-friendly development. As regards your question about what UP government has been doing, recently, you may be aware, in 2018, in Feb 2018, UP government came out with UP Warehousing and Logistics Policy 2018, wherein various concessions have been announced. Every new scheme takes some time to come into action. Now the time has come that people have started joining in this endeavor, and many new projects are in the process of coming in UP. UP government, to quote a few major decisions of UP government with regard to this warehousing and logistics policy. In UP, the CLU change of land use, what you commonly know as CLU. So for that, UP government has reduced its fee to a considerable extent. Recently, we have been in constant dialogue with our policymakers of Housing and Development Department and Industries Department. This warehousing industry has been rightly announced by government as well as by UP government as an industrial activity. Earlier on, it was considered as commercial activity, but now it is industrial activity for all practical purposes. Recently, on 3rd of June, UP Housing and Urban Development Department had issued another notification wherein this warehousing and logistics activity has been included as one of the subhead of industrial activity. So now, secondly, for external development charges, there is a rebate of 75%. Out of 100 rupees, you are supposed to pay just 25 rupees. And for CLU also, you get a rebate of 50%. Only that, if you create good infrastructure, then there is interest subsidy also to the tune of 50 lakhs per annum at the rate of 5% interest subsidy. So there are many concessions which have been given by the government of UP, and we are looking for UP as a future hub for warehousing and logistics activity. As regards the topic of today, how can we achieve a green warehouse? Green doesn't mean only green. Green includes all parameters of air, sunlight, greenery, user-friendly, decongestion of traffic. All aspects are covered under that green head.
For that, we all need to do our homework right from the beginning. When you are making a selection of the place, then your work starts. And then that is the time when we must engage the experts of this line. Generally, what happens is that the chooses a place and starts the project. Later on, he consults. Hello. Later on, he consults the experts. Hello. Then it is found out that there have been many shortcomings in site selection process. The site should not have been at that place. Then we have to make compromises. So my suggestion would be that we should be doing our homework right from beginning, from the site selection time till the completion of the project. If we all move together as a team, then we can definitely achieve this goal. And this responsibility of every citizen can definitely be achieved. But it can be done only if we join hands together, move together, work as a team. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. for making us all aware of the initiatives and support being given by the UP government for this sector. And it is definitely going to bring in a lot of good development in the state, in the logistics sector. It will be a game changer, I would say, with the new entrants coming in and the smaller players also making a good impact in the whole ecosystem. My next query would be to Mr. Mittal. So, Mr. Mittal, as we all say that sustainability is very important, but how do we really justify the cost, which is again not a very big amount, but still it is an amount in the whole system. So how do you really justify the cost incurred in providing the sustainable initiatives in a project vis-a-vis the ROIs and the leasing rentals attached to the same? Because can a developer really command an extra lease rental? Where does he find the comfort and reconciliation to the benefits in short term and in the long term? We would like to hear your views on this, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Vermani. Am I audible?
Yeah, very
Yes,
good.
sir. Yes.
Yeah, thank you. So thank you, Mr. Vermani and ASSOCHAM GEM Council for this opportunity. It's a pleasure for Association of Warehouse Developer of Uttar Pradesh to collaborate with you on green buildings. So, Vermani sir, if we look at the situation, so sustainable initiatives are really important, and they are actually focused on meeting the needs of present in such a way that we do not compromise our ability to serve the future needs. So if we look at the pillars of sustainability, they basically comprise of the business dynamics, the economic scenario of the company, the environmental and social consideration. So it's basically a delicate match between all these four pillars, where we have to bring them together and say, okay, this is sustainable, this is how we need to conserve or utilize our resources in the current scenario so that in the future the resources are amply available with us. So when you mentioned about the cost incurred in sustainable initiatives, I would say I would rather emphasize that sustainability is not about extra cost. I mean, it's more about the mindset. It is more about the collaboration between the different teams that come together to deliver the sustainable project. And my observation has been that of late, the industry has become attuned to rendering sustainable projects, and that has in turn brought down the cost. I mean, the economical cost of offering a sustainable project has come down considerably because the teams have become more skilled and used to delivering such kind of project. And when I say, I mean, the additional costs that whatever they actually come, they are offset by the corresponding benefits that are delivered. So that is one important thing. And I mean, if I have to give an example, I would quote solar energy, where the user recovers the cost in initial few years, and the remaining balance of the life is additional bonus. So I mean, the costs are always like I mean, they are matched, or the benefits are outweigh the cost. And I would say when you say that, how do we about the extra lease rental or other things? So I'll say that sustainable buildings have a greater chance of attracting the user, and they get occupied first. I mean, they are like ranked among first among the equals. So that is the big benefit a sustainable building gets to a warehouse developer. In terms of the extra lease rental, so I mean, I have some doubt here. What I would say that rental is a function of demand and supply. It's not actually, I mean, whether a building is sustainable would have an extra premium. So I mean, I will not attribute a premium on rental to a building which is sustainable, but rather, if I have an option to choose between a sustainable building and one which has no consideration for the environmental and social issue, I'll definitely choose a sustainable building first. So whether I'll pay an additional cost to it would entirely be dependent on different factors. And what I would say about the repayability and I mean the benefits, Pankaj Dharkar ji mentioned in his opening remarks that warehouse buildings are built for a life expectancy. So typically they are minimum 25 years is expected out of a PED structure, and it can go up to 30, 32 years also, or a 35-year period. So if it is sustainable, it will obviously I have seen the lifespan of a sustainable building is more than the normal, the conventional ones. So this is what I would say. And this actually the building pays for itself for a lifetime of the period. I mean, the few of the expenditure like solar energy, lighting, intelligent lighting solutions, wastewater recycling are paying back every day. I mean, the day they are installed. So, I mean, it may have a higher capex, but the higher capex is realized very fast, and all the additional years is actually bonus to the developer. So this is what I would say about the recovery of the extra cost that we incur. Thank you.
Great. So, as rightly put, but it is not the immediate rental you should associate it, but in the long perspective, you should definitely see, and it will pay you back much, much more. So that's great. And I would add to it that sustainability should become it has to be viewed as a financial and socio-cultural system, so that it becomes a part of life. And only then we can actually imbibe it and enjoy the fruits of this whole advantage. Okay, now coming to Mr. Nanda. Mr. Nanda, I'll just take you beyond steel also here. So I would like to hear your insights, being the stalwart in the industry and where 3B started and there was nothing in the ecosystem used to support it. So we would like to hear your insights on the role of material and technology, which is there in creating a sustainable warehouse. So not only material, also the technology part. And any new material innovations which your company is doing or which you have come across, which you intend to come up with in times to come, which would further improve the building life cycle of the building or the sustainability quotient, I would say, the index, sustainability index, to rightly put it, which you are working, which you would like to share with our guests here. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much for inviting me. I think I'm on the other side, meaning I'm not setting any standards or any certifications. I'm not designing the buildings. But I think over a period of time, like you rightly said, over the last 20 years since pre-engineered buildings came into India, 21 years, it's gone through a lot of change in the sense it was earlier pre-engineered buildings were used by some large companies, multinationals who were used to this steel buildings being done, this kind of steel buildings being done. But today we find that there is hardly any industry or even more and more non-industrial uses which are not using steel anymore or pre-engineered steel buildings anymore. Everybody is using it. So along with that, of course, comes the question of sustainability. See, to be frank, I'll tell you, sustainability over a period of time came with the kind of clients which we started getting in India. Foreign companies, multinationals, good consultants in India, good architects in India, they brought in the concept. We are, after all, only a provider of whatever the customer needs. But we were always ready. And we were very happy that the international practices, which were already well established, the sustainability and steel building, pre-engineered buildings were very well established all over the world. And these architects and consultants and companies brought it to India. Now, for us, the sustainability factor in steel is not only making a steel building, which is environmentally totally sustainable in the sense that at some point, if you want to sell your building 50 years, 60 years later, you will get the same value as you paid today for the building. Hopefully, scrap value will get you that kind of a return, and nothing is wasted. Like in a concrete building, cement building, in fact, you are paying people to demolish it and then paying people to remove it and causing a lot of environmental harm while you are demolishing it, if ever you need to, or you are painting it or you are repairing it. But in steel building, it is permanent. All materials used are permanent, including exterior coatings, exterior steel, roofings. And when the day you want to move it, or you want to demolish it, or you want to replace it with something else, you can just sell it for a huge amount of value. You don't have to pay anyone. You will actually get a lot of money back. And all that material will go back recycled into making steel again. Everything is steel in the building, from hardware to nuts and bolts, roofing, cladding, everything, except maybe insulation. Everything else is recyclable. And I think over a period of time, what we have seen is that using colors which are more reflective, your ventilation systems, ventilators, lighting, north lighting, and other DLP, that daylight panel systems in the walls, in the roof. These have improved the sustainability of the building a lot in terms of lesser electricity being used. Nearly every building that we design today or we manufacture today has provision for solar panels on the roof. Every client is taking it like that, even if they are not providing it today, but they feel that one day they will need to do it. So this building now, we have adapted to all these factors. And when we, even in our own plant, we make sure that whatever we are doing, whether there's a wastage or welding or scrap, or there is no untreated materials being released in the waste, and also because this building system has no wastage at site. Pre-engineered buildings, everything is made in the factory and delivered at site, so there is no cutting, welding, drilling. So there is no scrap, there is no environmental pollution, there is zero water requirement, which is a very big thing today in construction, to have zero water requirement. Then all the whole building, of course, luckily for us, by the architects and by the clients, is designed for good lighting, good reflectivity, insulation, water drainage, all going into rainwater harvesting. Everything is done to make sure that building is sustainable. Today, there are clients, I would say that we should not even call it warehousing anymore. It is a part of your total world supply chain system. Without the warehouse, your supply chain system will totally collapse anywhere in the world. So I think we have to move from supply chain, from logistics and warehouse, to being a part of the supply chain now. And companies like Amazon, we have done a lot of buildings for Amazon, for Flipkart, for all the major retailers, Metro, Cash and Carry, you name it, Walmart. We have done for everybody. And they have brought in very stringent sustainability standards. And that has helped us in getting better insulation, getting better ventilation systems, making better louvers, making sure that the water flow and your water recycling, rainwater harvesting, everything is up to the international standards. I think if you go and see an Amazon warehouse building, it will be the same standard as anywhere else in the world. And because the clients want it, so they are ready to pay. I mean, you had earlier asked this question of Mr. Varmani also, that you see, customers, that is the minimum standard they want today. Just like in the Bangladesh example or textile fabric garment example, nobody will buy a garment if it's not made in a factory or in labor conditions which suit the West. Yeah. So same way, they are not ready to rent a warehouse. They're ready to pay for it, but they will not even rent it if it is not sustainable, if it is not made with pre-engineered building technology. If you tell them, I will make a warehouse at your site, like they used to do earlier, they will not rent your warehouse, even though it looks the same at the end. So a lot of the good architects, consultants, now Indian companies also all, we work with all the top Indian companies. There is not a single Indian company that we don't work with. All the top consultants, architects, everybody demands it today. And I think the return is, I think it's not really a question of getting any return on it or not, because that is now the minimum standard. Just like we have moved from Ambassador and Premier Padmani to Suzuki and Toyota, we don't really think how much is added to cost. Will anybody buy a Premier Padmani today at even half the price? Nobody will buy it. So I think the whole standards have changed, not only in warehousing and logistics, but across the industry. Now it is coming to high-rise buildings, hospitals, railway stations, airports. Everybody is using steel because it gives you the flexibility to design a very good sustainable building, a very design conscious building as you want it, very fast. Yes, the deliveries are very, very fast. The erection procedure is extremely fast because everything goes ready-made to the factory, to the site. No work to be done at site, just skilled labor. You don't need any labor hanging around there. So the whole system of steel buildings all over the world has been found very sustainable. So more and more buildings in India are also moving to steel. And that is what we are here to offer. We have the design capabilities, we have the production capabilities, and we have the execution capabilities to offer a steel building for any usage, from a hill house to a farmhouse to schools, colleges, rooftop buildings, rooftop additional floors, to airports. We have done the T3 terminal we did many years ago, to very high building, hospitals. So everything is possible with steel today. And I think there is no other way to make sustainable buildings without using pre-engineered buildings today. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for insights, and definitely we will see more and more activity and construction happening using steel. So I would like to come back to you, Mr. Mittal, on this point, that as a facilitator to the end user of a developed facility, what does the industry expect from you as a developer? What is the industry expectation? How are those industry expectations changing? So could you highlight some of the few important key parameters which have now become a non-negotiable point in terms of grade A facilities which are being built today? So where there's no negotiation happening.
Yeah, Gaurav, I understand. See, I am the founder director of Association of Warehouse Developers of Uttar Pradesh. So we are a non-profit organization and we are the apex body of warehouse developers in the state of Uttar Pradesh. One of the key objectives of this association is to promote sustainability, because we understand the importance of sustainability nowadays. And we meet on a monthly basis to discuss the best practices in construction of warehousing sector. I mean, what we could do, I mean, what are the new parameters and what are the standards, because they're evolving. So, I mean, discussion of today is very interesting. We are talking about the past, the present and future. So I'll just take you a little backwards, about 22 years back. You mentioned somewhere in your opening remarks that about the godowns. So literally in the end of 90s, the warehouses were known as godowns. So godowns, if you split, it's like going down. So it was the old structures that were built, and they were not actually built. So if you're not using your factory, you would rent it to someone to store your goods. So this is how it actually started for me. And since then, I've seen this transition happening of the building. I mean, the standards kicking in, people getting more demanding. Then the e-commerce came in the beginning of this decade. They setting in standards, the modern hyper store setting up the standards. So all these things have come in over the last 1 decade, or say a little over the last 1 decade. This is how the industry have actually evolved. So if I have to look at, as a facilitator, when I'm as an association of warehouse developers, if I look at the industry expectations, so industry is very clear. I mean, the purpose of warehouse is to store the good conveniently in the right atmosphere or the right environment that they want. They should be easily managed and they can be dispatched around wherever they have to be dispatched. So I mean, it's more about the quality warehousing infrastructure. So when I mean quality infrastructure, of course, the loading, unloading, all these things are considered. I mean, quality infrastructure involves all that ancillary facilities. It should be secure. It should be efficiently planned. See, planning has become very important aspect of warehousing. Earlier, it was like there was no planning. There was a building and there was a warehouse. So the planning was entirely missing. Now the planning has become an integral aspect, and it should have all the required compliances, be it government or the other different bodies that they are, and there has to be a conducive work environment. I mean, that's a very important part of it. So if we have to see what is the expectation of the industry from the developers, I think these 4 or 5 points sums up them all. And when I'm looking at the non-negotiable parameters, so if I look at those parameters which are really important for grade A buildings, I would say the planning and design of a warehouse for optimized working is a parameter which cannot be overlooked or ignored. Then we have to come at quality of construction. So when I'm talking quality of construction, there are 3 things in the warehouse which are super critical. Number one is the floor. So I mean, in my all these experience of last 20 years, the place where we had gained most experience or would have bettered every time is the floor that we have installed. The second is the steel structures. Of course, Gandaji is here. He's an expert. I would say he's kind of a granddaddy of this industry. InterArch has been one of the first players, I would say, who have come. And then we have the different sustainability factors that we are talking of. I mean, earlier it was more like a introductory phase, say early 2010-11. But now it has become very important, like there has to be a daylight of 5%. Then we have to see the air circulation so that the AQI index is maintained. We have to see the movement analysis. So these are the another parameters that we have to see. Then it is about safety of man and material, security and efficiency. Efficiency, when I say the buildings have to be utilized in a manner that they can store more and they can deliver more, and they can do it at a really fast speed. Traffic management is a critical part because with the e-commerce, the traffic have changed, the pattern has changed. So earlier it was only a big truck coming in, a 40-feeter coming in and getting unloaded in different vehicles. Now a 40-feeters also come in, a 3-wheeler also come in, a mobile delivery also comes in. So the both in ingress and outgress have been like changed. The pattern is completely mixed, I would say, and it's a like 24/7 working. So traffic management, and of course the lastly which has become gaining importance is the resource conservation and the optimization. This is one of the very important parameter which I would like to discuss when I'm planning a project, that how do we want to conserve or the resources. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Mithil sir. Thank you. Thank you for all the insights, and definitely fire safety also comes in here.
I know that. I'm sorry, I haven't fire safety. Yes, really.
Because that is a very critical aspect happening here.
Yeah, really. I mean, I really, this is for the compliances also, this has become very important. I mean,
Yeah,
this is the first
beyond
thing.
compliance, I think it is our own safety which is driven, and fire has been a big havoc for man, material, everything. So whenever there have been instances of mishap happening, fire has been a very big element there. So over to you, Dr. Dr. Yadav, we would like to hear from you on this aspect, that when we talk of large logistic parks, which are now the trend of the day, which is happening, and what do you feel should be our approach to designing a sustainable facility? From where, of course, you talked earlier also that you should start from day zero and everybody should come in there. So I would like to understand from you whether you should look at the macro picture or start from the micro detailing and then go to the larger picture, because both ways are very relevant, and it could be either ways being done. But in your viewpoint, which is a better way, and how would you address this concern, that whether you start from the minor detailing that this should be in place and how, this is how the whole park should develop, or we look at the larger picture and then we do the minor detailings?
Thank you, Mr. Gurmani. In UP, the government has recently reduced the area of a logistic park. Earlier it was 50 acres. Now they have come down to 25 acres. So for a logistic park, now the minimum area is 25 acres. We'll have to see it from both the angles. First the macro angle, then the micro angle. 25-acre area you are looking for creating a park, then your site selection has to be really, really good from all parameters which you are going to encounter while you are doing the detailing of planning and designing. If you happen to select a place which is not suitable on your parameters of designing and sustainability, then your project would not be successful. So on certain parameters, you'll have to do macro planning, and then definitely you'll have to do micro planning. But the planning definitely comes before it. It is not a thing which you could think of later on. It has to be at an appropriate place. It has to come in the beginning. So you have to do a good site selection, you have to do a good planning, you have to engage a good designing team, and then you have to execute as per the plan of design and sustainability parameters. So we have to see it from all angles together. We can't be doing it in small pieces. We will have to take a holistic approach. Then only we'll be able to create a good, sustainable warehouse. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I think you have put it very nicely that we need to look at the last mile also, how the vehicle will be parked, how the conveyors will go out, and how the material will be handled, being a very key aspect to the whole ecosystem. Mr. Nanda, since you have been again, we would say that into this system, so as we would like to hear from you as regarding the fire safety aspects of our logistics sector warehouse. How do you integrate fire safety with steel, and where do you feel that whole built environment comes into proper shape there? So I would request you to impress upon the fire safety aspects in buildings. You could just throw some light there.
In fire safety in steel, according to the Indian rules, up to ground plus 4 buildings, or ground plus 3, ground plus 4 buildings, if it's a steel building, you don't need any additional fire protection. So most of the people in industry do not provide fire protection. Additionally, because steel has a certain inherent fire protection in any case, you don't need more than that. Especially if it's a single story, even going up to 8, 10, 12 meters. The idea really is that how fast can people move out of a building before the steel building will fall. So that's got a high enough fire rating if you use steel. Otherwise, there are provisions which we have done, like in the Delhi airport and in some hospital buildings and school buildings, where additional fire rating or fire protection is required. Then you have luminescent paint being done, fire protection being done on the pillar. It is reasonably expensive today in India, but it is possible, and there is no restriction. There is no restriction on steel. Yeah. I mean, commercial buildings, once they get higher than 4 floors, it's compulsory. Then you are called a high rise. If it's more than 4 floors, then you will have to do it. But a lot of the public buildings are doing it already. But there is no issue at all to do any kind of protection the steel building at all. But like I said, by the provisions of the client, rather than what we do, we go by the provisions of the client. But there is no problem in doing fire. This thing, it is far better to use a steel building when you have fire issues. Concrete is cheaper in the sense because concrete has an inherent fire protection, fire rating higher than steel. But there is no problem in using it in a steel building at all. And your fire retardant systems are all easily adaptable to any steel building. Extinguishers, sprinklers, there is no issue at all.
Thank you so much. And Mr. Mittal, so now coming back to the pertinent question of that as a rating system, how do you feel, how successful would a rating system be, and what role should it really play, and where all it can be integrated into the whole ecosystem so that it actually incentivizes the end user to go in for a certification. So how should we go about it? You are on mute, Mr. Mittal. Could you just unmute me?
Okay, thank you. So, Mr. Varmani, if I look at the rating system, I mean, to my knowledge, it is relatively nascent in northern part of India, especially in the warehouses. So it's gradually that it's catching up for warehouse building, and this requirement is as of now more arising from the user side. I mean, as a developer, we are conscious to the fact that we need to have buildings which meet all the parameters, and it's about the environment and the people, and it also makes business sense. So the requirement is originating from the user side. Probably we as logistics park owner may, if there is a separate kind of a rating for logistics park owners, then probably it may add as an attraction to us. And the concept in itself was like this rating and the green building and sustainable developed in Western developed world. I mean, it has come to India. So I was before coming to this webinar, I was just finding out that which was the greenest building or the first building in India which was rated as a green building. So I found out it was CII Sorabji Godrej Green Business Center building in Hyderabad, which was LEED certified platinum rating by US Green Building Council in 2003. So I mean the rating and the structure of rating has only like 2 decade or less than 2 decade old. So in warehousing, it's gradually catching up more from the user side, because I hear few users of our mentioning that they need to have a rating system because now they have an environment audit. They are a part of a larger global chain where it's more mandatory. So it's kicking in, and as I say that it would be if we have a separate category for logistics park where the infrastructure also get rated along with the building, it would be beneficial for us to look into it, and probably it will not only increase the marketing index of the building, but it will also give us a estimate that about the resources that we are utilizing and our impact on the environment, or as you said, the carbon footprints or ecological footprint, I would say it. So we can assess our ecological footprint, and we'll apply it accordingly. I think that would be a very welcome step if something like this is comes up.
We hope with your association of warehouse developers and integration with ASSOCHAM, definitely we can offer you much better solutions for the whole state and all the developers as part of your association. And it will definitely be a path-changing effort, and with Dr. Saab's initiatives and interaction with the government, definitely it can be taken up in a more fruitful manner, so that rather than being an enforcement thing, it is more of a self-decided initiative which the developers can go ahead and enroll with, and definitely it will help them in making them more aware and help them measure the whole index, I would say, so that it gives you much better returns in the long term. It will be a great initiative and great support there. So ASSOCHAM is always with you on this platform and your whole committee, and beyond the developers who are guests who have joined in. So whoever have any queries, we can now move on to the questions and answers, Neeraj, and take it from there. And there's a special announcement from ASSOCHAM GEM Warehouse Association. Anybody enrolling for a certification program in the next 15 days, I think the committee has announced a special discount on the registration fees, which Neeraj can share. So anybody coming up for the certifications will definitely get a special advantage there. And it will be well supported by the committee. of UP chapter as well as the warehouse committee and Mr. Bajpai as well. So over to you for the question answer and clarity on this.
Yes, thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. First of all, I would like to, congratulate all the panelists for this wonderful discussion. And as I was mentioning, at the beginning of the webinar, so there were around 300 plus attendees all the time in our webinar, and we have received many comments, on the chat box and question box. So there is one question, which is attracting my attention also, and in this, I think name of the attendee is Mr. Rajesh Buddhiraja, and he want to know more about the smoke ventilation system, being installed in the warehouse facilities. So if anybody can put some light on this, that how smoke ventilation system should be designed, should it be positive pressurized or so? So if anybody can, I mean, I know this is a technical question, but if somebody can answer this. So, or Dharkar Saab, if you can answer.
Yeah, I think it is a very nice question, very good question, and I'm really happy that this question is being asked here, because I do believe that there is a need to create this awareness through those forums about first of all, the National Building Code needs to be getting disseminated in a better way. So current National Building Code gives us in any smoke evacuation system or any system which we design, we have to understand what is the zone which is permitted, and currently the maximum zone area is 3,000 square meter, 3,000 square meter, which means 30,000 to 30,000 square feet of area. You can have a zone, and in this zone you could have a possibility of designing, and the National Building Code does permit a ridge design by which smoke calculation can be done, and you can have your ridge design which can make a natural ventilation of smoke can be done. If you have a concrete kind of a covering, then basically you will have to design a forced ventilation. It is important to understand that you need to have for each zone a fresh air entry and exhaust fan, which is smoke fan, which is properly fire rated to be put in, so that you are able to do the evacuation in permissible time. That is the way it should be done. If you have a sprinkler system, then the sprinkler at the perimeter of 3,000 should be a sprinkler arrangement, which we call as drenching system, which will kind of create a curtain system. If curtain smoke down curtains are not available, drenching system is also permitted by the NBC. So it's a combination of sprinkler and smoke evacuation. So you have to create that so that the containment is important in case of smoke evacuation. We are currently having a special committee in the BIS. Fortunately, our team has been part of it. The National Building Code earlier was specifying only 500 square meter, which was a code in 2005. In 2016, we revised it to 3,000 square meter. The code got kind of popularized from 2017. And currently, the kind of logistic parks which are under discussions in the country and which are happening across the country are seeing the very large warehousing boxes, which are going as high as 300 meter by 300 meter. People are also arguing whether 15 meter, which is currently permissible height, is adequate, because a developer or a builder or a large logistic park owner, when he's putting so much of money for land and so much of investment happening, so they are also thinking about why not this stacking in can go up to 21 meter. The biggest challenge here is also the fire and smoke, because you are dealing with thousands of people now will be working in this kind of warehousing. So there is a good amount of debate happening, good healthy discussions happening, and we do believe that the technologies are available. How do we complement them? to ensure that this zone limitation of 3,000 square meter goes up to 6,000 square meter, which is complemented by good designs of smoke evacuation and sprinklers, which will allow them to permit these higher sizes of warehousing and larger sizes of stacking. So I think these are two interlinked problems, and I'm sure you will get a good news in very near future. A good team of members working with BIS. We are also requesting them that don't wait for your routine revision in BIS, because it may be too late, because there are many multinational companies who are willing to invest in India in this segment. There are many eminent people who want to invest, but if the land costs are more and if they want to achieve more, I think time has arrived when our standards have to get upgraded with international standard, and I'm sure the country will see these changes soon. I don't know if I have been able to satisfy, but anytime you can connect us, and we will be very glad to help you from this forum, GEM Forum, or Fire and Security Association of India. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dharkar Saab. I mean, I must say that this is really an expert advice. So I'm sure the answer has been, the answer is there. So thank you so much, Dharkar Saab. My next question is from Mr. Nanda from the audience. Mr. Sandeep has asked this question. So, Mr. Nanda, do you think any changes need to be made to the fire bylaws and not, get limited to the government guidelines in the interest of the clients and buildings? So I think the attendees, wants to ask that whether do you think that there should be some changes in the fire and building bylaws, fire bylaws, whether government, does it or not, in the interest of client and the building, sir? Nandaji.
Mr. Dharkar also summed it up.
I think, I think I'm not so equipped to give an answer on fire bylaws because I'm not really into engineering or design or I think somebody else will be able to answer it better. But I think the guidelines which generally people are following, the government guidelines are very good. Most people are going over it already. The challenge always in India is how to control the level which is always, and there's a level in India which is always uncontrollable. That how do they manage? The problem always happens there. Additional floor put up somewhere at school, tuition, then that catches fire. Unauthorized building being put up somewhere which collapses or catches a fire, electrical equipment not being okay, catches fire. So I think in the organized sector, I think I've not really seen this kind of a problem. Of course, there are fires in the factories. That's not the point.
Yeah, Nandaji, you are absolutely right.
So that the laws will definitely.
Yeah, I think somebody else might be able to give better advice on that.
Yes,
so
yes,
Dharkar
yes.
just mentioned as well. Yeah. Will be
So
Nandaji,
as I indicated earlier, there is a lot of discussions happening on this BIS committee in Central, Government of India. They are very, very serious about it, and so I think Nanda Sahab, you rightly said, one must not also go overboard. After all, it is what is that you are storing and what is that rentals you are going to get. That is also important from a commercial point of view. At the same time, safety of your godown is also important. So it's a very complex question. To be very frank with you, you cannot impose it forcefully. There could be many other aspects which will come up. So I think that this time the committee has been very cautious in taking such decision. But I agree with the question that there is a need to upgrade these fire bylaws and then also implement them in future. I think there is no doubt about it. And it should go by the kind of goods which are getting stored, the sizes and the technology which gets adopted. So it will have to be more dynamic than a very, very static kind of modification which comes in. People like Amazon and all are going with even in-rack sprinklers and going to a micro level of protection.
Yes, yes.
Now, not every developer or not every warehouse we can expect that level of protection. They are also going beyond Indian bylaws and expecting us to do work at NFPA compliances, which are very, very stringent, and the materials are also expensive. So all that needs to be tied down, I think, is a need of our.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you. So I think now there is no more question in the chat box. So yeah.
I think Interact had a brief presentation to show of what all innovations they are doing. So
Okay.
we just allow
Okay. Okay. Great. Great. So Arvindji, will
Yeah,
give you
I
the
think one of my
presenter,
people are going to put up the presentation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Kaushal must be
That's great.
doing it, yeah.
Okay.
So Vikas
Amit,
Kaushal.
please give the presenter right to Mr. Kaushal.
Yes, sir, already.
Okay.
So Vikas, you have the presenter rights.
So Mr. Kaushal is the CEO of Interact. He looks after the business with Mr. Nanda.
Mr. Kaushal.
Yeah, in fact, my colleague Rakesh is trying to upload. If you can give him the presentation link.
Okay, Mr. Rakesh. Amit, please give the right to Mr. Rakesh.
Done, sir, done.
Yeah. It is with you, sir. Rakesh ji, are you there?
Neeraj, you could
Rakesh
just
ji.
brief about the certification.
Because just check if Rakesh can do it, otherwise.
Yeah, it is there. Make it full screen, sir. Yeah. Done, sir.
Okay, Rakesh, give the presentation.
Yeah, so I will take it forward. Basically, as first of all, let us thank all the eminent panelists and Mr. Vermani, especially to give us this opportunity. So we are, one of India's largest pre-engineered steel building manufacturer today. And when we are talking about modern warehousing and warehousing construction in today's scenario, I think pre-engineered steel construction is one technology which is really complementing, this overall growth of warehousing and logistics in India. So as Interact, we are recognized in the Indian industry today as one of the largest, not only manufacturer, but also overall engineering, manufacturing, and on-site execution service provider. So we not only manufacture warehousing structures, but also execute warehousing projects from start to finish. Rakesh, you can go to the next slide. Yeah. So this is one advantage, or from the material of construction point of view, when we are talking about sustainability, one important aspect which we can all look at is that today warehouses are not built 100% at site. Warehouses today, when we talk about steel buildings, most of the warehouses are manufactured using, as Mr. Vermani was rightly saying, more than 60% of the construction is done with steel. And by virtue of its adaptability to prefabrication, steel buildings can be manufactured off-site. So we, as Interact, have these 3 state-of-the-art manufacturing facilities in which we manufacture buildings in form of components. So a warehouse is actually manufactured in a factory. So the modern warehouses which we see today are not built at site, but those are actually factory manufactured warehouses. So this, the advantage we get out of this is that this minimizes the wastage. This not only gives you an advantage of better factory controlled quality of the product, but also minimizes wastages at site. It completely eliminates the pollution which is caused at construction sites nowadays, which is also one major concern when we talk in terms of environment and sustainability. You know, pre-engineered steel buildings gives us this advantage because once they are manufactured in the factory, the pollution, the dust, the debris, which other construction technologies have associated problems, is totally eliminated in case of pre-engineered steel buildings. So we manufacture warehouses in these factories, and then transport these to project sites where they are assembled like with nut bolt connection assembly, and a factory or a warehouse can be built. We have complete range of steel construction. What we do today is industrial, the steel structure, roofing, cladding, everything is manufactured in-house. And today we have this end-to-end inbuilt capacity to offer a turnkey solution. So these are the brands. We pre-engineered steel buildings, our roofing systems, track deck roofing systems. Millions of square meters of our roofing has been installed in India across the industry. Track ceilings, metal ceilings, and also non-industrial construction. Our building products are used for non-industrial construction also. So as we have already discussed various advantages that of using steel, we have also discussed the advantage of designing a building with better ventilation system, better insulation system. All this is possible, and we can incorporate all these facilities into one package and offer you what we today call a pre-engineered system. And most of our building projects which we are doing today are can be certified as green buildings. And we have done over the years various projects where highest level of green building certifications have been achieved by our clients. We can quickly run through and show some of the projects. This is one project which we'd like to talk about. On your left, you can see is the Delhi International Airport, Terminal 3. This was a gold certified terminal building in India. And we as Interarc were subcontractors to L&T for the steel structure, the parking bays, and also the roofing for the entire terminal building. These are various other industrial buildings. As Mr. Nanda already shared with you that one major you can say demand or the major requirement is coming from because of the growth of e-commerce in India. Today we have worked for all major e-commerce players like Amazon and Flipkart, and not only Amazon and Flipkart directly, but because of this there is a lot of investment, foreign investment in India in the warehousing and logistic field. And we as Interarc have actually worked with, we are today working with almost every large fund, foreign fund, which is investing in the warehousing business in India. Indospace, over 10 lakh square meters of steel buildings we have done for them. ESR, Logos, these are all foreign funds which are investing huge amount into Indian warehousing and logistic business. And apart from warehousing, we are associated with every sector of Indian industry, manufacturing and manufacturing industry. We are doing a lot of projects. If we specifically talk about Uttar Pradesh today, there is a lot of investment in terms of FMCG and other electronics and other industrial segments where we have been associated with the industries for supply and installation of steel buildings. Recently, we are doing very large projects for clients like Hindustan Unilever, PepsiCo. We are doing a bottling plant for Coca-Cola, which is already completed. So these are kind of customers, as we all discussed, that UP brings in a lot of opportunity for not only Indian companies but multinationals also, and everything contributes to the growth of warehousing and logistic business. These are our customers in the warehousing and logistics segment. Thank you so much, Rakesh ji. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Rakesh ji. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. So with this, we come to the end of this wonderful webinar. Once again, thank you so much, Dr. I.S. Yadav ji. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Arvind Nanda. Thank you, Mr. Amit Mittal. Thank you, Pankaj Dharkar ji, Architect Gaurav Varmani ji, Architect Anupam Mittal ji, and Architect Anurag Vajpayee ji. Thank you so much for your time and sharing your views, sir. Thank you so much, and please go for ASSOCHAM JAM Green Building certification for your warehouse projects, whether it is new or existing. And I would request the attendees also, if you are from warehouse developer side, please go for ASSOCHAM JAM Green Building certification for your new and existing warehouse projects. So thank you so much once again, ASSOCHAM JAM Green Building Council UP chapter and Association of Warehouse Developers UP. Thank you so much. And friends, our next webinar is on environment-friendly healthcare facilities, past, present, and future. And this is also being organized by ASSOCHAM JAM Green Building Council UP chapter. So please join us on Friday, 16 July as well. Thank you so much once again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Anupam ji. Thank you, Gaurav ji. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.